Aloha, guys, and welcome to Degree Free. We are your hosts, Ryan and Hannah Maruyama. On this podcast, we share fundamentals we've discovered and the mistakes we've made while self-educating, getting work, building businesses, and making money. We'll tell you how to make it happen. No degree needed.
Hey, everybody. If you're new, welcome to the podcast. If you're not new, then hey, good to see you again. If you are looking for directions on how to do the things we've talked about in previous podcasts, or after you listen to this one, you are re-listening because you like it so much and you want some guidance on how to go about getting work, starting a business, or basically just trying to figure out what you can do instead of go to college, you can check out our guide. It is on degreefreenetwork.com. And if you're not interested in doing that, you can continue to listen along to the podcast. And we do talk over pretty much every principle that's in the guide. And you can feel free to take notes and use YouTube University and Reddit and Google as you see fit. And without further ado, let's get into today's topic.
All right, guys, let's get into today's topic. Today, we're going to be talking about the different types of businesses to start. This is something that we get asked all the time is, what are some ideas for businesses to start? A lot of times people come to us and they're thinking about not going to college, or they've made the decision not to go, and they're assessing their options of what different things to do, whether or not that's just getting a job in a field that they want to, or the field that they think they want to get into, or going to school to do something else, going to like a trade school or going to take online courses. One of those things is starting businesses. A lot of people want to start businesses, and you don't need to go to college to start a business. And so today we're not really going to be talking about the how to start a business. That's probably going to be another episode for later. Mostly we're just talking about the ideas of businesses and kind of high level execution and kind of the mistakes that we've made when we were first running ours, when we were first building our businesses.
And man, we have done some dumb stuff.
Absolutely. Yeah. We made a lot of we made a lot of mistakes, and we continue to make mistakes. We
just make them faster now.
We're still growing. Yeah. Do we make them faster? Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah. It's not really that we make less. We just make them faster and we stop making them quicker, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, I think definitely. I think so. It gets the longer you do it, the better you get at analyzing of whether or not it was a mistake, and the faster you can course correct. That's something that took us a long time to learn, and we're still learning it to this day. We make mistakes all the time. Every day we make mistakes.
So a big part of this too is, I think what I've noticed is when people have been asking us about this recently, usually they have an idea and they're just not really sure what to do with it or even where to classify it. And so because they're not really sure where to classify it or what sort of category the business idea is in, they don't really know how to move forward. I find that there's basically two types of people that want to start businesses and want to be entrepreneurs. There are people that are overwhelmed and scared and don't know where to start. And then there are people who are way ready to bite off a ton more than they can chew. And you and I have been both of those things. We kind of want to talk to those two groups of people.
So I guess just to jump kind of right into it, a lot of people come to us with the idea of wanting to start a business and the idea of, oh, I have this idea. I have this, like, I'm thinking about doing whatever, you name it, right? I'm thinking about selling this, or I'm thinking about becoming a massage therapist. I'm thinking about doing eyebrows, thinking about selling vintage clothes. You name it, we've heard it. And a lot of what people think when they come to us is they're like, oh, well, when am I going to know if it's time to quit my job? Or
yeah, that's the first question.
Or it's like, or should I quit I should probably quit my job, right? Like, I should probably quit my job and then just work on this full time, and then I can like grow it that much faster.
And then we both have to quietly go, that's not a good idea. When what I'd like to do is, no, don't do that.
Yeah.
That's a terrible idea. If you're thinking about doing that, don't you dare quit your job to start a business that you have not proven, that you've never taken money for. That is not a good idea. It's not a good idea because you don't know yet. You need proof before you jump. The reason I say this too is because Ryan and I have done this. We have done this. We have made this mistake. It was, to this day, one of the absolute dumbest things that we ever did, which is we paid for me to learn a skill. And then we decided that we were going to start a business where I was going to perform this skill, so a service. And instead of working and starting to get clients and perform the service, as I started to get more clients, and then I could work and then do clients in the meantime, instead of doing that, I quit. I didn't get a job, and I just decided to do that full time. When you do that, what you do is you back yourself into a corner because you now don't have money coming in and you need money desperately. And now money is going out the door. So all these three things happen at one time because you need money for marketing and supplies and getting a place. You can't make as clear decisions because you don't have money and you're spending money at the same time. And that creates a sort of desperation that I feel destines a lot of businesses to fail. I think that has a lot to do with why so many of them fail, to be honest, is people just, they think that pouring all their time in at the beginning is a good idea when in fact it's not. You need to dip your toe in the pool before you jump all the way in, because if you're putting all of your time into something that's not paying you for your time, you're kind of wasting it. You're wasting your time when you could be earning money and instead growing in a way that you're growing your business, and then you put in the time when your time is actually worth more to the business. I realize that was kind of a complicated explanation, but
basically don't quit your job. What you want to do, I think what is one of the best ways to do, especially if you're doing a business that you've never done before, as we said, if you're pre-revenue, you're really pre-execution, you're in the idea phase. It's definitely, it seems glamorous, and it seems like for a lot of people, and we've talked to a lot of people about this, it seems like this is the next step that you have to do in order to realize your dreams. In order to realize your dreams, you have to quit your job. I'm going to make this massive statement to myself and to those around me, and I'm not going to give myself the life raft. I'm going to jump off this boat and I'm just going to learn how to swim.
Like, it's proving your commitment to it.
And that is one of the toughest things to do. And it's tough because of exactly all the reasons that Hannah said before. So I think a better way of doing it, and one of the ways that we do it now, even now, we still do this, and the things that we tell people to do now is basically just run little baby experiments. Is basically just start very small. Whether or not you're starting a service business, whether or not you're selling stuff online, whether or not you're going to go ahead and get something manufactured and then sell it, at your local swap meet, whatever the business idea is, work on it in your free time. Keep your day job, keep your night job, pay the bills. The freedom and the freedom and the security that you get from having that steady income and knowing that your bases are covered is massive because of exactly what you said. Being able to not have your back against the wall. When we did this, right? We paid. For those that don't know, we own a paramedical tattoo shop here in Honolulu, Hawaii. When we were first starting out, Hannah, we paid for her to get trained, and then at that time, she quit her job. I wasn't making enough money to support both of us at the time, and that really backed us into a corner. Wait, did you quit your job? You got fired.
No, I got us. So humble story. I got Ryan and I both fired by running my mouth. We were both working at the same place. And instead, so it was a series of bad decisions. It was that. And then this was a huge period of growth in my life personally. But I got us both fired. And then after that happened, I got trained. And then Ryan had just started a new job.
I was just starting a new career.
A sales job.
I had never sold anything before. I didn't know the sales process. I didn't understand how to sell anything. I didn't even understand the product that I was selling, really. And it was different for me. I mean, I was good at it. Luckily, I made, because it was sales, it was all commission, and because I was okay at it, I made money pretty quickly. And
He did very good.
Yeah, and the first few checks were enough to
Lull us into a false sense of security.
To hold us over for a little while. And then I stopped making sales, or I didn't make as many sales as the beginning as I did. But at that time, you had already quit. You had been fired, and you're still unemployed.
And we decided, we decided that I was not going to get a job, and I was not on unemployment, by the way. At this point, I was not on unemployment.
No, you were not. But
I was just decided I was unemployed.
You were not employed.
Yeah, but what I'm saying too is like I decided to make zero money, and instead I decided to spend money to try to make money in a time when we were probably the most financially exposed we've ever been, and that is the equivalent of like a get rich quick scheme. Business owning, especially at the beginning, is not glamorous. It is not fast. It is painful. It is long. The hours are exhausting, and you need money for everything because money fixes all of your small business problems. The easiest way to get money is to get a job and then build your business. I remember distinctly too during this time, and Ryan's heard me tell this story quite a few times. But I remember I was watching Shark Tank at someone's house, and I heard, I don't remember who she was talking to, but Barbara Corcoran was talking to the owner of one of these businesses, and she pointed out to the person that they weren't making any money, and she told them that they needed to get a job because she, at one point, when her business needed money, what did she do? And this lady was running there is no comparison between me and this lady who's running an extremely successful company. And she looked at it and she goes, well, I need money, which means I need a job. So she went and she got a job to feed her company, essentially. And that was a real turning point for me personally, because that when I saw that, I was just so humbled, and it just taught me a huge lesson, which is, who do I think I am to not work when I have this thing that requires money in order to succeed? And I had the audacity to say, well, I can build this without money, and I can build this in a way that is not financially responsible. It's not to say that people don't do that. It's not to say that you can't. It's just way harder. In my opinion, it's very stressful.
Yeah, it's unneeded stress.
It's irresponsible to spend money if you're not making money. That is definitely irresponsible to spend money if you're spending money.
In many ways, it's going to be more stressful. You're going to see less growth in the beginning because you're not going to have as much time to work on it, on your idea, on your business. You're going to have to work nights. You're going to have to work weekends. You're going to have to... One of the things that we realized in this time was just the attitude towards time management. One of the things that you're going to have to master in order to start a business is time management. You're going to have to make time. Back then, I definitely didn't have any time. I felt like I didn't have any time. But then I look back on those days, I was nowhere near as busy or as productive than I am today. And that has everything to do with time management. That has everything to do with making time. Actually, those days where I would be working my sales job, come home, and then I would be right to marketing our business online, building our websites, teaching myself how to build websites, teaching myself how to market, teaching myself SEO, everything that we needed to do in order to get our first clients. And I think that even though it's more difficult, takes more time, and for a lot of people is harder because you got families, you have jobs, you have obligations. You got to make it happen. It's not easy. But it's simple. Work your full-time job, work on your business on the side.
A few points, but first a question, which is something I noticed is that when I do have a job, and I think part of that too is that I was a much more inexperienced entrepreneur prior when I've been in this situation, but when I was working a job, there's a distinct difference between the times when I worked a job and worked on the business and the times when I just worked on the business. And I found that I'm actually much more productive when I am working and I have less time, probably because there's a limit to the amount of time that I have. So I feel like I have less. So I feel like I have to get more done. Do you think that there's something to that?
Absolutely. Same example. I feel the same exact way, but so instead of using the same example for me, I saw a massive increase. So for those that don't know, I did go to college. I did get my degree. I got my degree in economics. So I'm a big hypocrite sitting here telling people that, you don't have to get a degree if it's not necessary. So you're not obligated to go to college. Okay. So all that's being said, I had this moment in my sophomore year of college that we've talked about before, is that I went to college, but I was working full time as a server, busser, bartender. I'm not sure what I was doing at the time, but I was working full time throughout college in the restaurant industry. And I was only taking a few classes at my freshman and sophomore year, and I just couldn't hold it together. I couldn't get good grades, just couldn't do it. And then summer of sophomore year, I made the decision, okay, I'm either going to quit school or I'm going to get A's from here on out, or get A's and B's. I ended up getting 1B or something like that, or 1B or 1C or something like that.
Did I react dramatic enough?
Afterwards.
1B.
1B or 1C, like after, but it doesn't matter. Who cares, right? I couldn't tell you. And the thing was, I noticed that, so then, because I was slacking off, in order to graduate in 4 years, I needed to add on even more classes. So I added on even more classes, still work full time, and I was able to get more done, be more productive, and I felt like I had more time to study, I had more time to be at work, and then I had more time to hang out with my friends. It was the weirdest thing, and that was just me getting better at time management. And so it's
out of necessity.
Out of necessity, right? Similar. So just to bring it all back about businesses, we'll get off our soapbox, but we just wanted to tell that. We wanted to tell those stories just because it's something that we hear all the time. This is something literally, when we say all the time, we just had a conversation with somebody literally this week, a couple days ago, thinking about quitting his job to start a business. They
always say, I want to quit my job and start a business.
That they've never done before. They don't know the demographics. They don't know how to monetize the business.
They've never taken a dollar from anyone.
Super interesting is that, like, in 5 to 10 minutes, we could think of more ways to bring income into that type of business than they were like, oh, I want to start a business. And it was like, okay, well, how are you going to make money? And then you and I, in 5 to 10 minutes, we were just spouting off ideas of how this person can make revenue, but they hadn't even thought about that. And I was like, buddy, don't quit your job.
Not yet.
Yeah, not yet.
Not until one, you've taken that's the biggest thing, is taking a dollar. You have to take money. You do not quit your job. Do not quit your job to pursue your business if you've never taken a dollar for whatever that business is. You have no proof. You don't even have $1. You don't even have a George Washington's worth of proof. So you need to do that first. But okay, so today, really seriously, guys, we're going to talk about the main types of businesses that you can start. And those are going to be paper, restaurants, hotels, railroads. I'm just kidding. Okay, so we've realized that there's a pattern. There are typically 3 types of business ideas that people usually come up with that are low barrier to entry, pretty simple, and you can definitely 100% teach to yourself pretty quickly. And those are going to be services businesses, which is where you're doing something for someone for money. There are physical sales where you're reselling or you're ordering from a manufacturer and then you're drop shipping, or you're physically selling something on the side of the street in a stand or at a swap meet or something like that. And then there's digital sales, and that can be a lot of things. That could be courses or ebooks or anything like that. But we tend to feel like these are the 3 that people tend to come up with. I would say the most rare one is actually the online businesses. I think that is the last one people usually come up with. Usually the first one is a service or physical sales.
These are the most common that we hear. And then absolutely, I think the information or digital products, definitely online products are definitely one of the things that we hear the least of. And I think it has a lot to do with having the entrepreneurial creativity in order to think of something like that.
That's also intimidating.
Right, but just to think of it, a lot of people don't even know that you can make money that way. A lot of people don't know that you can make money through information, that you can sell digital products, that you can do like a SaaS business, software as a service. The thing that we normally recommend people do, the easiest thing to do is start a services business. That is, you're not reinventing the wheel. It
literally is the wheel.
You're trading time for money. That you do that every day at your job. And that it's very easy for people to get their heads around. When I say people, I mean your potential clients, the people that are potentially going to pay you to do the job. So if you're thinking about doing a service such as photography or videography, that's the business you want to start. Okay, it's pretty simple to buy a camera or use the cameras that you have, charge somebody to take photos, charge somebody to take videos, edit it, and then send it to them. That's super simple. That is as basic of a business as it gets. It is also, services business is also one of the quickest ways in general to make money, to be cash flow positive.
I think a lot of people too, when they think of services businesses though, they think of fairly prohibitive ones. So they think of massage therapists where you have to be certified and go to school. They think of nail techs. They think of photographers where you have to have an amount of technical knowledge. What we're talking about is as basic as you can be. There are services businesses that hang photos in elderly people's homes because they can't do it themselves. There are services businesses, a lot of people wouldn't realize this, but Instacart would be a great example of that. You buy somebody's groceries and you take it to them. This is cleaning people's homes. Again, you don't need any amount of skill to do this. You need skill to market it and grow it and do everything like that. But like physical sales, you don't need a skill to really do that. You just need a thing that people want to buy. And that's true of services. You need a service that people want to buy. And that can be anything.
Absolutely.
You just need hands. And not even that sometimes.
You just need somebody to pay you for it. Whatever it is, whether or not you're hanging elderly, whether or not you're hanging photos for the elderly, or whether or not you're going door to door to wash cars. I actually remember I met a guy, I was out golfing. There is a local car wash down the road from where we live. And I remember him talking to me while we were golfing about how he started his car wash business. And now, 4 years later, he can golf every day. He's done.
That's awesome.
But it started with him working a regular job, and then on his free time, he would go around neighborhoods, literally with a bucket and soap, and ask people if they want their cars washed.
People think that you need a lot of things. They think you need business cards. They think you need a uniform. They need, let's take that or a cleaner, for example. They think, oh well, I need a professional vacuum. I need a professional hose. I need a this. No, you don't. You need hands, and you probably need soap, and you probably need a bucket and a rag. That's it. I think people tend to overcomplicate what they need to get started. I think it's partially out of fear, and I also think it's partially just because they just don't realize that you need so little to start a business. You need so little to do something that someone will pay you for.
Absolutely. And then with the proliferation of, it's never been easier to start a business because there are things. Before it used to be so difficult to get merchant services. Merchant services are like being able to accept credit cards and things like that. Nowadays, it's so easy to accept credit cards. It's so easy to accept payment. It's so easy to look legitimate, to be legitimate. You don't even have to start an LLC if you don't want to. I mean, maybe you should, maybe you shouldn't. I don't know. Talk to a business lawyer.
Not tax advice.
Right, exactly. Not a financial advisor. Not a tax lawyer. But many times you can just start walking across the street, taking money for whatever it is that you're doing, taking photos or video, as I talked about before. the technology nowadays, you can use something like Square, you can use something like PayPal, you can use Stripe if you're going online, and it completely allows you to take credit card payments, to take debit card payments, and legitimize your business. You don't always have to take cash. You don't always have to take check, and that helps to bolster the brand. It makes the ease of business that much easier, which is huge, because in order to get traditional merchant services from banks before, it was difficult because you needed a certain amount of revenue in order for them to even look at you, because they wanted to make sure that they were going to make money off of you.
Yeah, they weren't interested in these small transactions, but now
Micropayments.
the world is your oyster.
Right. And so that's it. That's pretty much it for services. You can do anything that you want. You can be as creative as you need to.
Or as uncreative.
Absolutely.
A lot of the services businesses that are easiest to start are the most boring thing you can think of.
And that also being said, check your local laws and everything. Make sure that you're properly licensed. You don't want to gain some traction. You don't want to gain some traction, then figure out that you're illegal.
Right, and get in trouble.
Do
your research, people.
Do your research.
Read a book.
For the most part, though, I will say about that, as long as you're still experimenting,
don't worry about it too much.
The chances of you getting caught for something like that is probably pretty minimal.
Not legal advice.
Not legal advice. That being said, the chances of you getting caught probably pretty minimal. So weigh the risks and rewards of whether or not, like a good example. So just as an example, in Hawaii, in order to be a general contractor, you have to have a license. In other states, that's not necessary. If you don't have that license, you can only charge up to a certain dollar amount, and you're technically not a contractor, you're a handyman. And then, so that's just a good example of knowing your local laws and
how you can bill and how much you can bill, and to keep yourself above board,
knowing your licensure, all of that good stuff. But as far as services, the world is your oyster. It's going to be tough because you're working a full-time job, or we hope you're working a full-time job. We hope that you're working, and then on top of it, you actually have to market your business. And then what's tough about the service business, and we know from personal experience, not only do you have to market your business, but then you actually have to do it.
Yep.
So you're actually, eventually what it turns into 3 jobs, really. You work your regular job, then you market your business. That's a full-time job. And then you actually have to do the business, assuming that hopefully you get busy enough to where you get clients to pay you to do whatever it is that you're charging to do. And then that's another full-time job. So it's difficult.
We do it. It's our business now. We own our primary business is a services business.
It's difficult, but it's doable.
Mm.
Difficult, but doable. And you just gotta work hard.
It's just a lot of work.
There's
There's really no way around it. It's good though. It's good. And there is some security in that. And eventually, if you're good and you do good work, you're gonna get word of mouth too, which is powerful for services business. All right. And then the next one is gonna be physical sales. And I think, Ryan, can you tell people about the books?
Oh, yeah, sure. Yeah. So when Hannah and I first started our entrepreneurial journey, we tried to drop ship things online. It's where, if people don't know what drop shipping is where I set up a website, you come to my website, you order it from me, I get your order, I get your money, and on the back end, I order it from a distributor, and the distributor sends it to you. And so I'm basically playing a middleman. We found that was difficult, not exactly what we wanted to do. We weren't very good at it. Plus, we didn't like the customer experience. We didn't like the customer experience that we didn't have control over where our products went and how they were handled. They weren't our products. We didn't have product or quality control, and we didn't like that. So back to the drawing board. And so what happened for us is that I started to look online about how else, like what other products could I sell in order to make money.
How did you find this originally too? I can't remember. Did you see it was it on Reddit? Where did you read about it?
I'm not sure. I forget.
Because it wasn't a CNBC article, was it?
No.
It was...
So I'm not sure. So anyway, I figured out either through reading or a video or so whatever that the next thing that I was gonna try was buying and selling used goods. Specifically, what I ended up getting into was buying and selling used books. And at the time, we were living in Georgia, and we had a number of thrift stores around us that sold books for pretty nominal amounts. It was like, I don't know what it was, but it was 25 cents maybe for a paperback and like 50 cents for a hardcover, or like 50 cents for a paperback and then $1 for a hardcover, something like that.
And you could get discounts some days of the week too. So.
Some days of the week, yeah. So it was relatively cheap. My cost basis was relatively cheap. And then Amazon had an app that you can basically scan the barcode, and it immediately tells you how much it's worth. And I was like, well, that's a no-brainer. I'm just going to do that. And so before I knew it, I ended up getting deep into it, where I was scouring, I hadn't thought about this in a really long time, where I was scouring every single local thrift store about 2-3 times a week. Maybe not every single one, but I was definitely going about 3 to 4 times a week to different bookstores throughout the counties, the surrounding counties.
And yard sales and book sales.
Yard sales, book sales, and I was just scanning. I was scanning to see what would make us money, because it instantly showed us what we could sell it for. I was like, all right, we'll try that. It ended up being pretty successful.
And you got to know your shipping costs too. That's the other thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
So he would just do the mental math when he sees the number that it
at the beginning. And eventually there's apps you can get on your phone. And then eventually I got pretty into it. I ended up doing it. It was enough money through more than a few months. It was enough money for me to stop working and do it full time. I didn't do that, but it was enough money to do that.
Could have.
I could have, yeah. We made thousands of dollars a month doing that.
That's no joke.
Yeah. I mean,
it was not a joke.
Now that I think about it now, I mean, our house was full of books, and I was That's not
the worst thing.
Yeah, well, the thing that we ran into, the problem with that was the distribution. The distribution was difficult, so we would get an order, and then I'd have to ship it out the next day or that day, or we'd have to ship a bunch of them to Amazon's warehouse so that they could ship it out when an order. It's a whole big thing. It's definitely, that's just a good example, though. That's a roundabout good example of selling physical products where you're not reinventing the wheel. I didn't need massive creativity for that. I didn't need to.
It was really smart though, and you did find it.
It was smart. I think that there are still people that do it. I'm sure that there are people that still do it. Now, I'm sure that it's still very profitable. Textbooks are freaking super expensive.
Some of the textbooks, when you would get them, you'd scan it and it would be for sale for $1 or less, and it'd be like $70.
Yeah,
what?
Or like $100.
Yeah,
like I think my
Did we
best
get the one for like $140 or something?
I think my best one is a couple hundred. You know, and it was
like, that's right. It was that weird collectible paperback. I remember.
I'm not sure. And it's but multiple times I made over $100 off of it, more than 100x my $1. That being said, it's not super sustainable, because in that field, you are your inventory. It's almost, even though it is a selling business, it's almost like you're providing a service because the inventory is so sporadic and you can't count on it because what you're counting on is you're counting on the generosity of other people to give away their books. That's what and then also there's such a low barrier to entry in that anybody can go buy. At the time there was like a $200 scanner that scanned it, Bluetooth scanner. Anybody can buy the $30 a month app on their phone and then do exactly the same thing. Many times while I was thrifting, many times I ran into the competition and the competition was doing the exact same thing. Well, you knew because
you're out of place.
Yeah, you just look different. You look weird. I mean, I have a freaking cart. That's full of books and nothing else. And I literally just go.
You have headphones on.
I have headphones on too. And I literally just go there and I scan every single book, don't miss a single book. And then I leave with a freaking cart full of books.
Anytime you go in a thrift store, this is just one of those things. Anytime you go in a thrift store, if you see somebody in a thrift store with headphones on, I would say 80 to 90% of the time, that person is a reseller of some kind. And if you're curious, watch what they're doing because we also buy and sell vintage clothing and I do the same thing. When I'm looking, I put on headphones and I do that so that I can focus on what I'm doing and so people don't ask me questions when I am purchasing things that look strange. So if you're ever in a thrift store and you notice that somebody is in there with headphones on and they look like they're doing something that's a little out of the ordinary, watch what they're doing because that might give you a good idea.
Yeah. So that's just a really long-winded way of saying that you don't have to think when we talk to people about it, when they're talking about physical goods, a lot of people immediately go to manufacturing. A lot of people immediately go to handmade items,
which is terrifying too. And that's because that's a big deal.
Manufacturing is terrifying.
Yeah.
Because
so many unknowns.
You have to hold inventory. Usually your manufacturer requires a minimum order. And that means capital. So
and if you're drop shipping cheap things, oftentimes there's a language barrier, which is also extremely intimidating.
Well, that's just drop shipping, and that's not manufacturing. But yeah, that's different. But yeah, one of the things that's very common nowadays, a very common thing to do is open up Etsy stores. You can sell prints on Etsy. There are ways to do print on demand. You can start an apparel company without ever having to store any inventory,
which we've done also.
It's the same thing. It's basically the same thing. So print on demand is basically the same thing as drop shipping. It's where you come up with the design. You can start an entire apparel company without ever holding inventory. And you don't have to, and that's the difficult part about apparel is holding inventory, and then because you have so many sizes, small, medium, large, extra small, extra large. It's crazy.
We'll go into this in more depth, I'm sure, in its own episode because it's kind of a hilarious story. But at one point we did hold inventory for one item. It was the same item. It was all the same size. We bought two different styles, which I think in hindsight was probably a mistake. But what we thought we were being very reasonable because we thought this was in the beginning of our journey, but we were like, it's just too hard with the sizing. You can't hold t-shirts in sizing because you can never know which ones are going to sell. So instead we bought hats. The problem with that is that holding inventory is just a crapshoot if you don't know what you're doing. We had no numbers. We had no idea of demand. We had never proofed the concept before we did it. And I think now if we do it, we would probably try to take pre-orders for that. But we just bought so much inventory of these hats. It was crazy. So it's very scary because you're outlaying money before you've made any money.
That was exactly what I was going to start talking about next, which was what a lot of people do. So if you don't want to start an Etsy store where you're selling prints or you're selling print on demand stuff, or if you don't want to start a website where you're doing that print on demand or stickers or patches or things like that, you can start to think about taking pre-orders. So come up with some marketing material, whatever it is that you want to buy. Say you want to say, or whatever it is that you want to sell. Say you want to start selling custom phone cases. Make a couple of custom phone cases, take some good pictures, have your friend that knows some videography and photography help you make some marketing material, and then make a website, put it on your Instagram, and then put it on a website and say, hey, look, I'm pre-selling these items.
I think for a lot of people that's really intimidating. Even the marketing material, yes, he's right. Take photos and stuff like that. But if that sounds intimidating to you, if you hear marketing and your brain just kind of shuts down because you don't even know what that means and that overwhelms you, take photos and video and post it on Facebook and Instagram. And just say to the people that already follow you, does anyone want to pre-order one of these? I'm making them, and they'll I'm trying to make them in the next whatever weeks. Message me to get one.
And then right there, you just make sure that you take pre-orders, that your sales price is enough to cover the production costs. And right there, if you get some pre-orders, then you can go ahead and order it, and now you've immediately made money. You've made revenue, and then then you go buy it, give it to them, you've made money. And that's one of the most effective ways to test. Just run a test. It costs very little money. It just costs some time, costs some knowledge of setting up websites, of setting up payment systems on your website. Nowadays, it's so easy though. Like I said, Stripe, Facebook, you can pay on Facebook. You
don't even have to leave Facebook or Instagram. You can do it through Instagram.
You can take payment through Venmo if you wanted to. You're really just trying to test the waters here. One last thing that we supposed to say about just talking about apparel, because this one of the most common things that we do here that people want to start selling shirts, or they want to start selling whatever,
bibs or baby clothes or whatever.
Baby clothes. About apparel, what Hannah was talking about before is about, well, the difficult thing about that is the sizing. And so if you can, one of the easiest things that you could do for yourself, if you haven't thought of an idea, or if you're still looking for an idea and you're going to hold inventory, if you do have a little bit of capital, if you have a little bit of money to throw at this thing, okay, instead of buying small, medium, large, extra large of these shirts, or of these pants or whatever, maybe think about selling one size fits all. Maybe think about selling. We had a friend that sold patches.
That's so smart because they weigh nothing and you can send them in an envelope.
The shipping costs are absolutely nothing.
They fit everyone. It goes on anything.
And so they got it manufactured. At first, he made the design. He could sew it. So he made the design. He did it. He made it. Then he computerized it. He sent it to a factory. The factory printed out. The factory put out, I don't know, 100, 1,000, however much. But it came in a freaking box that was enough, very, very small, very easy to ship. All of those. They shipped it to his house. He held all the inventory, but it didn't matter because it only took up a little shelf in his room. And then when he got orders, he just took one out, put it in an envelope, and then sent it on its way. Mm-hmm. And that's super cheap. Thinking about shipping costs, thinking about one size fits all. Those are probably a really good place to get started if you're thinking about holding inventory. So
things that aren't heavy and don't take up a lot of room, because that means that when you ship them, they are not going to be heavy and they're not going to take up a lot of room. Jewelry is another good one. Earrings, things like that. Small things. If it fits in the palm of your hand, that's literally a rule of thumb right there. But try something small first, or one size fits all. Okay, the last thing, it's kind of a little bit like the last one, which is online or digital sales. So with that, there's a lot of different forms for this now. This is more accessible than it's ever been. I think about even years ago when we started, and Shopify was around then, but it's way more accessible. Like Etsy has gotten so much more sophisticated since we started our Etsy store. There are so many platforms that you can use to create websites and sell digital products or sell things online. You can pay people to make apps. Again, I know this sounds intimidating, but you can pay people to make apps. You can pay people to make application games. You can pay people to make things, informational products that you sell online. You can design something that Ryan just taught me the other day is low content. Was it low content product?
Low content books.
There we go. So basically that's like a journal or a calendar or a writing prompt a day book.
Yeah, that's more physical goods, but you could do it.
We sell it online.
But you could do it with online stuff.
You could sell it as a PDF.
Yeah. So one of the things I think with online is going to be like digital things. I think a lot of what people think about when they come to us, a lot of them are talking about kind of what we talked about already is selling physical goods online, which is still physical sales.
Mm-hmm.
I think what a lot of people don't know about and kind of what I wanted to touch on here is selling natively digital products or natively digital things.
Can you define natively digital?
The things that only live online, things that are born online and that live online, and things that you sell online. So these things could be guides, they could be courses, they could be just information. Another business that's very popular. It takes a lot of learning. It takes a lot of know-how. Just like any other business, though, one of those things is like affiliate marketing. You can do an entire business where you actually don't sell anything. It's your entire business to just route traffic to the places where they end up selling, and Amazon or whoever's selling whoever's selling that product at the end, they're willing to pay you for that because they didn't have to market to get that customer. And so there's a lot of ways to skin the cat on the digital stuff. And I think it's just something that is getting more popular now. But when you're first starting out, you don't have that. You're just not even aware that those things exist.
A good example of this is mommy bloggers who, when they do, here are the 10 things that I bought for my baby. Every single one of those things is getting her paid if you buy that item or you go to the site where that item is, which is really cool. That's a great example of a digital product. Another one would be, as Ryan was just saying, about courses and guides and instructional things. So anything that you know how to do that somebody else might want to learn how to do. A good example is we know someone who they had a business, it didn't work out, but they made courses. And so now they sell a course on how to make courses, online courses.
Course inception.
So meta.
Yeah.
But yeah, so the thing is, though, I think that is probably the most successful thing she's ever done because a lot of people now are making online courses. So to make this actionable for you, if you're listening, whatever a good rule for you to follow if you're looking for your thing would be to figure out what other people ask you how to do. Do people ask you like how to teach them calligraphy, or do you play guitar? I have a friend who's a speech language pathologist, and I told her that she should make a course that teaches adults how to fix some of their verbal tics so they can work better in the workplace. That's a great example of that. But it's people who wouldn't realize that they have a valuable skill that other people would love to have that knowledge that you have and do those practices. This could be as simple as a course on how to journal every day.
And it could be as simple as that. It could also be as simple as finding a niche and then just making YouTube videos on it. That in and of itself is a business.
Yeah, you don't have to be an expert in it.
You don't have to make how-to videos. You don't have to make courses. You don't have to make guides. You can just create a channel on YouTube, create a following, and then get paid by ads. Eventually, you're going to go into the affiliate marketing side of it as well. You're going to reach out into other arms. But just to start, if that's an idea as well, is to just start making YouTube content.
A good example of that is just to give somebody inspiration would be there's a YouTuber who I can't help but click on these videos sometimes, but all she does is she really self-educated about Victorian and Edwardian fashion, and she critiques movies where they do elaborate costumes. And as a result of that, now she's got sponsors. She doesn't make them. She's just interested. And so she does a lot of research and then compares and critiques the costumes that these people have made in these movies. That is her entire YouTube channel. She has millions of subscribers. She's not a professional anything, but she's very good at going, hey, look at this thing. I don't think it matches this thing. Here's why. And there's value in anything if other people are interested in it.
Absolutely. And so I think this is a good place to kind of start to wrap up. I think we've talked your ears off enough. So just to kind of go over, again, the different types of businesses to start. One of the easiest things that you can do, one of the things you can probably do tomorrow, is start a services business. Super simple. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. Think about something that you can do. Think about something that people already ask you to do. Think about something that you want to do, and then just go do it. Literally just go take money to do it. All right. Don't quit your job.
Please don't quit your job for the love of all that is good.
Don't do it. There are a bunch of ways that you can figure out if it's time to quit your job when you get to that point. We can talk a little bit more about that later, but for the love
of all that is
of
good.
all that is good,
For the love of Barbara Corcoran,
do not
quit your job.
And then the second thing that you can do is we can sell physical products, right? That's also not a reinventing the wheel, but it can be something as simple as like what I did when I first started out, which is reselling Amazon books. I mean, it's a crowded market now, but hey, I hope that gives you inspiration. Maybe you can go around, maybe you have a little bit of specific knowledge on used bicycles, Schwinn bicycles, and you go around town and you go to every garage sale, you go to every bike shop, and then you go to every junkyard, buy broken down bicycles, fix them up, and then resell them, right? It could be something as simple as that. You don't have to manufacture goods. If you're thinking about manufacturing goods, maybe think about doing pre-sales first. Maybe think about getting money before you outlay money, right? Okay, so if you're hell bent on doing something where you have to get inventory, if it's apparel, maybe think about doing one size fits all. Maybe think about doing print on demand first. You can look into there's a bunch of print on demand services out there. Printify, Printful, you name it, plenty.
So many. And they print all types of things too. They don't just print apparels, like couch pillows, phone covers, watches, boots. You'd be surprised.
Yeah, definitely. And so the last thing is going to be online. So yeah, there's the Shopify where you can open up an internet shop and then sell whatever you want. There's the Etsy's as well that we talked about before. But then also doing things like selling digital products, selling guides, selling courses, or even doing something like starting a YouTube channel and garnering a following that way. And then getting sponsors, getting ads, also affiliate marketing. That's a way to go as well. When at one point or another, we've done all of these things.
Mm-hmm.
At one point or another, we have done all of these things. And for the rest of our life, we'll probably continue to do all of these things. The main thing is just go out there and start. Just go out there, don't quit your job, and start. After you start, it's exhilarating to get your first client. It's exhilarating to make your first sale.
It's super cool.
I remember when we made our first sale on our drop shipping site. I remember when you got your first client. I remember when I got my first client. I remember we sold our first book.
Our first t-shirt.
You name it. Yeah. I remember all of our first sales, and it's awesome, right? You had an idea, you executed, and now somebody paid you for it.
There is no victory like something that didn't exist before you made it exist working. It is one of the most satisfying feelings you can ever experience.
It's awesome. And then after that, there's all the rest of it ahead of you. You have to learn how to run the business. You have to learn how to market the business. You have to learn how to improve business processes. You have to learn how to make business processes. You name it. That's only the tip of the iceberg. But it
takes time and money, which is why we're telling you not to quit your job.
But that is such an important part of all of this. Is just get started. Is just take the first steps.
Yep. Doesn't matter if it's ugly. Doesn't matter if it's not cool. Just do it. All right, guys. Thank you so much for hanging out with us today. We are glad that you came back, and we hope you come back again for the next episode. If you want more information on the types of jobs you can have, other degree-free options, or how to get a job or interview for a job or start a business, you can get our guide at degreefreenetwork.com. But we're also big fans of doing the research yourself, and you don't have to get it from us. You can just use what we're telling you in this podcast and find it for yourself. But if you do want it all in one place, it is on the website. Thank you so much again for watching. We were really glad to have you with us today.
All right, you guys. Have a good one. Aloha.